Volkswagen T-Cross, a car soonest available in summer 2019. But as one of you guys wanted to see this car under every circumstances, I thought, okay, let's test it. But getting this car really wasn't easy.
隻手應該去關就使揾到喺過啦。上過係啦，你兩對我講到喺內，就先到我嚟喎，大家都所謂嘅，謝謝。Алексей, сдаюсь. Трапни у кого-нибудь трак не подойдет, должно ловать. Прототипус. T-Cross. Даешь мне?
Понял. Приступайте к работе. To masz, nie ma security. Młodzież!
Okay, this intro was a bit exaggerated, a bit over the top, but this car is still really top secret. It's the Volkswagen T-Cross that's only going to be available from summer 2019. This is Carmania. I'm Chris. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and leave me thumbs up if you like the video, and share it and leave me comments in the comment box. Carmania is the first to drive this prototype. It's really a prototype, but I will give you any information, every information that you need and that you want to know about the brand new Volkswagen T-Cross, which is the second T model in the Volkswagen family after the T-Roc, its bigger brother. Let's check out the car from the front view and from the complete view. Even if you can't see that much because it's still being covered, but I could already see this car uncovered, and I can describe now perfectly to you what this car looks like without covers. So here we have quite a big front grille that's expecting you, giving you this SUV kind of feeling from the front view. And if you're shocked now, and an LED fan just like me, don't be scared, these are halogen lights, but there are also available LED headlights, luckily, because for example the Volkswagen Up GTI doesn't have available LED headlights, and that was some space for criticism in my eyes. Altogether, it reminds a bit of the Volkswagen Tiguan from the front view. From the back view, it's going to get more special, I promise, but first we check out the side view. First eye-catching thing is the rims. These are 17-inch rims. Everything starts as standard with 16 inches and goes up to 18 inches. And you have two dual color rims in the offer if you'd like to individualize your car a bit more. This turquoise color is an exclusive color for the Volkswagen T-Cross, so it's only and exceptionally available for the Volkswagen T-Cross. If you don't like it, you have 11 additional colors that you can choose from to individualize your car, even with different mirror cap covers, but I can tell you more about that later. The size of the car, it's a mini SUV. The base is the Volkswagen Polo, and this you can immediately see by having it behind myself. You can see that it's not really a big car, and it's only 5.4 centimeters longer than the Volkswagen Polo is, and that doesn't sound that much, but it gives you a lot more interior room. I will show you, thanks to a really clever architecture, and 11.2 centimeters higher, so you have a lot more headroom, and you sit 10 centimeters higher than you sit in the Polo. Now comes the back view. What I said is the most interesting about this car, and from the back view I think the Volkswagen T-Cross is the best looking. It's not that much standard like from the front view. The backlights, you can imagine a mixture between something totally new and a little bit of Volkswagen Polo, at least the graphics of the backlights. Independently from the LED or halogen package that you take, you're always going to have LED backlights, except the light for the reverse gear and the indicator. These are always halogen, even if you take the LED package. What's nice is an additional light that you can't see now as the car is covered, but if you follow my fingers, so it starts here, take a look at that. This is an additional light glass that continues and connects both backlights and makes the car look a bit more massive from the back view. And it's not illuminated, but it's a reflector light, and I think that's nice because that's new and we haven't seen that with a Volkswagen yet. There is also something what you're not gonna see here. You have the option of taking an ambilight. What you normally have in the interior, you can also have for the backlights. These are 3 little square lights here, illuminated. If you don't take this package, you still have these lights, but then they're not illuminated. But that's a cool additional feature, because even from a side view, the backlights are illuminated like that. A back camera, so a reverse camera. You don't have a surround view option for the Volkswagen T-Cross, but at least this car has a self-cleaning mechanism for the back view camera, so even on rainy days you have a sharp and clean view. And now here's coming up the most interesting thing about this car, the most impressive thing about this car. It's the boot space that's going to surprise you, I promise, because even its bigger brother, the Volkswagen T-Roc, is going to be jealous about this. If we take out this cover now, what's expecting you here is standard 385 litres of boot space. Quite a lot for this car class, but that's not the end. If you like to go on holiday and you say this isn't enough for me, you can extend this boot space by only just pushing a button or pulling a handle, pushing the seats forward, and within 5 seconds you have extended the boot space from 385 to 455 litres, and that means you have 10 litres more boot space than in its bigger brother, the Volkswagen T-Roc, and that's impressive. Imagine you'd like to go on holidays, you have this platform again that you can lower or higher. We know that from Volkswagen and from Seat. That's a really nice feature. Yes, of course, you have less knee room on the back seats if you are extending the boot space, logical, but if it's not an adult person, if it's maybe a child up to the age of, let me say, 10 years, it's totally okay, and they're not going to suffer from the missing leg room in the Volkswagen T-Cross. Now we're going to be checking out the interior, because even there the Volkswagen T-Cross is expecting you with some nice practical gimmicks. As I said, 11.2 centimeters higher, and this you can see with the headroom. I'm 6 foot 2 inches and my fist easily fits above my head, and even 2 additional fingers. And this is what comes to its benefit with the wheelbase architecture, and of course, yes, the higher architecture of the Volkswagen T-Cross and its mini SUV reputation. Even the space here is quite satisfying. The seats are comfortable. Unfortunately, there's no leather seats available. Well, we have 5 packages, Trendline, Comfortline, Highline, Desireline and R-Line, and none of them has leather seats. I'm a big fan of leather seats. That gives some interior value. And if it's about interior value, I have to say that the T-Cross reminds me a bit, even if you can't see here anything now, I can't show you what's hiding behind this cover because it's top secret, but I can tell you what I already saw when it was uncovered. And it reminds me a bit of the Volkswagen Touareg. If you'd like to see the Touareg's interior, click on top right and get forwarded to the video, because the design of the center screen and the digital dashboard looks quite similar, even if the nav screen isn't drive oriented like in the Volkswagen Touareg. But it's a beautiful one-piece glass panel that gives some interior value that the Polo doesn't have. But besides this, everything is the same. So the digital dashboard, you also have still an analog dashboard available if you are a purist. And the practicability of the car comes up now. We have 4 USB ports in this car. 2 here for the front passengers and 2 on the back seat, so that every of the passengers can charge the phones. And additionally, we have a wireless charging option for your cell phone, so you can charge parallel, and that's a nice thing. What's expecting you here is a really practical additional storage space underneath the seat, and they can store some things like drugs. Just a joke. No, things that you don't need, and the glove box you can use for things that you really need, like bottles and stuff that you might need more often than a user's manual. Here you can put in the user's manual or things that you don't use that often, and you have the same underneath the driver's seat, which is perfect for having some additional not visible storage space. So the interior design isn't Polo, and the only thing that reminds me to the bigger brother, the T-Roc, is the center part, which is surrounding the gear shifter, because it's also capped in the color of the center trims. If you take the design line, for example, you can have some 3D effects on your trim, and you can choose between different patterns, and it has some 3D effect, and that's a nice thing. And you can also match the side mirror cap color to your interior trim if you like to with the design package. That's why it's being called design package. And now, before we drive it, we check out the back seats as an adult. Now, this is me, as I mentioned, 6'2" sitting behind myself, and hey guys, look at that. I have knee room, I have headroom, and I could also rest here for about 400-500 kilometers. Why not? What you can see here is some additional storage space for your cell phone, or whatever, keys or whatever you'd like to put here. Here are the 2 additional USB ports. And the funny thing is, the car for the South American and Chinese market has air vents here for the air conditioning unit, but as in Europe it's not that hot in summertime, they're using this as some additional storage space. So my fist doesn't fit in here, but I have quite a big fist. Maybe a smaller cell phone you can put in here, and back seat pockets, and also here, as you can see, half of a litre bottle. Even some bigger bottles would fit in here easily, and some additional storage space to that. I don't know how it's going to be with the last version, because this is a prototype, but I think they're not going to change anything about that. Maybe this design here a little bit, but altogether it's quite nice, valuable. I'm only missing the leather seats. The back seats here are skippable, foldable, as you can see, 60/40. So someone can still sit here while you're transporting some stuff, but if you extend the boot space, then the whole platform of the back seats goes forward like this. So I could also sit like this, not for so long time, but I could sit here and you have more boot space. SUV. Would I call it an SUV? I don't think so. An SUV for me starts at a different car size, but if we call the T-Roc, so its bigger brother, an SUV, we also have to call the T-Cross an SUV, because at least the T-Cross has optionally a bigger boot space than the T-Roc, though the T-Roc is its bigger brother with the extendable boot space that I was introducing to you. That's really an interesting thing in my eyes. In this car class, 455 litres, but that's a question of taste, how we call a car. Let's talk about the engines. There is 4 engines, and there's not going to be more. I asked Volkswagen and they confirmed no, the engine palette's not going to be extended. Right now we have 3 petrol versions and 1 diesel. 95 horsepower is the basic version of the diesel and also of the petrol versions, both 95 horsepower, but with the difference that the diesel has bigger displacement. It's 1.6 litre 4-cylinder. And of course, like this, has more torque than the petrol version with its 95 horsepower, because this is only a 1 litre 3-cylinder. It's this car that we're currently driving around with. Yes, I think the diesel, now purely from the aspect of driving performance or driving experience, is a bit more interesting, because we know the diesel torque is punchier and makes more fun of driving it. But if you fear the diesel issue, then take the 95 horsepower petrol version. If this isn't enough for you, you can take the 115 horsepower version, also a 1 litre 3-cylinder. It's only the turbo pressure that Volkswagen changed a bit, so modifications like we know it from Abarth or wherever, where it's not 165 horsepower like in the Turismo, it's 180 horsepower like in the competition version. And a 4-cylinder petrol version as the top version, coming along with 150 horsepower, 1.5 litre 4-cylinder, not 3-cylinder, because normally the 1.5 litres are 3-cylinder versions. At least we have a 4-cylinder. And yeah, this is the offer that you can choose from. And the available transmissions are, as we know it from Volkswagen, manual transmission or DSG. But not the 6-speed DSG like the Polo GTI received it. No, it's the 7-speed dual clutch automatic transmission, and of course gives you several advantages depending on which one you drive, in my eyes. Because if it's the 95 horsepower version like this one, you don't need a DSG. It makes more fun driving a car with not so much power with manual transmission like now, where you can shift, and it makes more fun, a bit more driving performance, if we can talk about the driving performance. And the 150 horsepower version is coming along standard with the DSG, so there you don't have a choice. Even with the 95 horsepower basic petrol version, you don't have a choice. It's only available like this with a manual transmission. And some fun fact, it's a 5-speed manual transmission and not a 6-speed manual transmission. So we're going back to the times of the Golf GTIs in the 70s and 80s, which had 5 gears instead of 6 gears. And someone of the Volkswagen team of the engineers said, you're not going to miss the 6th gear. And I wasn't so sure about this, but now I'm testing it and it's really the truth. So I'm driving now 70, 80 kilometers per hour with not even 2000 RPM. So a 6th gear would be too low RPM right now, so you're not missing it. And I think the times driving on a highway with this car, you won't do that often. So really it's enough. 5-speed manual transmission, and the 115 horsepower petrol version is also available with the DSG or the manual transmission, just like you want to have it. And with the diesel you also have the choice of getting both. When it comes to driving performance, of course you have to know that you shouldn't be expecting driving performance like a C63 AMG S from this 95 horsepower car. If you are a friend of longitudinal dynamics and you'd like to accelerate just like me, so for me this 95 horsepower version wouldn't be my favorite choice. I take the 150 horsepower at least, because this is something that you can, you know, if you like to drive a bit faster or accelerate as soon as your family is not on board, you can do it. This car is more for cruising, urban driving, finding parking spaces, fitting almost into every parking space because the car isn't that big. It's only 5.4 centimeters longer than the Polo is, and if the Polo is a perfect city car, this one here has to be a perfect city car as well, if it's only about 5.4 centimeters. But I was explaining that at the beginning of the video. The driving position is quite surprising as well in my eyes. Now of course I can already see the haters writing in the comment box, let the Volkswagen cocksucking begin. This is what many people say when you are saying many positive things about a car. But it is positive that a car of this car class, offering so much boot space and offering that much space on the front seat for the driver, if you are 6 foot 2 inches just like me, is positive. I mean, I don't feel like captain a tight cabin. I have plenty of headroom, and I don't know if I can set the seat lower. No, I can't, but I don't need to anyway. It feels like, yeah, like what it is, a mini SUV. And the lateral support of the seats is really good. What's not natural, because for example what I have discovered at the GTI performance days, you can click on top right to get forwarded to the video, where I was driving the Up GTI on the racetrack, I was criticizing the lateral support of the seats where you were sliding from left to the right because it doesn't have lateral support. This one at least has lateral support as much as you need it. Now of course with 95 horsepower you always have the issue of not being sure if you can overtake on the country road. You can if someone is driving constant slower speed in front of you, but if he is trying to battle you, typical German behavior, seeing you in the rear mirror and then accelerating, you might have some difficulties. But for the urban driving, I can repeat myself, it's perfect. The fuel consumption average is ridiculous. I mean, it's a 1 litre 3-cylinder, just like a motorcycle's engine, and you can drive around with about 6 litres or something, and that's fantastic. The car has excellent results in the NCAP crash test. 5 stars is what the T-Roc has received, and that's a good feeling for driving around your children on the back seat and your wife on the passenger seat, because in the end that's also not natural. You have plenty of safety assists available, many of them standard, like the lane assist for example. Emergency city braking is available with pedestrian detection. Active cruise control is optionally crossable on the option list. Actually everything that the Polo has, also the T-Roc has, and that's the advantage of the modular system. So it can be a perfect life companion for you in the city driving if you are fine with the maximum power of 150 horsepower. So I mean, all these safety assists are really sensible. Fatigue warning, I forgot to tell you. But it's more the practicability being in the focus, like the 4 USB ports, for example. The dampers wouldn't need to be stiffer in my eyes. They're not too soft, they're not too spongy, maybe even a bit stiffer than I expected them to be for a 95 horsepower car. You can't drive this car that sporty anyway, just for challenging the dampers. You have 4 centimeters more ground clearance than the Polo has, for example, to compare it, because you know, actually it's not, and nothing about this car is Polo, but it's you know, it bases on the Polo, and that's why I'm mentioning it. But the higher ground clearance gives you a more comfortable driving on potholes and rougher roads, even if this car, due to its missing all-wheel drive, isn't really the perfect car for driving off-road. But even if you do so, it's going to be a lot more comfortable than with the Polo comparably, because of the ground clearance, of course. Now I'm needing some acceleration because I'm turning around here. Just let's check it out. It's not bad. I mean, 95 horsepower. It's not an acceleration monster, but the sound is cool, quite cool. And I have reached 100 kilometers per hour within about 11 seconds, not 8 seconds, 11 seconds. 90% of us don't need more, let's be honest. But if you need more acceleration power, take the 150 horsepower version. The gearbox is quite crunchy. I have to say that this car reminds me a bit of the Up GTI with its engine sound, and with the gear shifting, it's as crunchy as the Up. The only advantage that this car has is the lateral support of the seats. Want to do some off-road driving? Let's do it. I think we're just mowing the lawn here because that middle grass is a bit high. And now driving backwards again. I just wanted to test it because we've got some high grass here in the middle, and with the ground clearance, there's no problem at all. And its behaviour is quite nice because, as you can see, it's not humpy, it's not bumpy. So you can drive off-road, even with the front-wheel drive, but you shouldn't be exaggerating. I've got the park distance control permanently warning because we've got the grass over here. But the rear camera shows everything that I need, and it's nice to have the rear view camera on the full-size screen. So from down below, the acceleration is really good. There you can feel the turbo punching. So the turbo luckily is available at a really low range, because this is important getting from off the line. What's happening above 60 is not so important because it's not a highway car. But now let's do some agile driving. Perfect country road. This is what Bavaria, where I live, is famous for these beautiful country roads, beautiful sceneries, beautiful curvy places. And this car makes fun of driving it here.
My conclusion, the T-Cross is something totally different than the T-Roc and its platform donator, the Polo. But it offers more boot space than the T-Roc and a lot more interior room than the Polo. I am missing an optional all-wheel drive and optional leather seats, but even I say, as an acceleration fan, that the 95 horsepower suits every urban driving need. And still, there's the 115 and 150 horsepower version. The T-Cross price will be starting from about an estimated 21,000 euros. More we will know next year.
Until then, enjoy this video, share this video, leave me a thumbs up if you like this video, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for not missing any videos anymore. This is Carmania, I'm Chris, and this is the all-new Volkswagen T-Cross.